in the Igbo land. Every structure you see there, apart from the old prison, which was built in the 1950s, is the result of the contribution of, I'll give you an example. I come from a human local government of Imo State. Recently, the police divisional quarters was destroyed, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. What most people don't know is that building was built by the community, Luso community, and donated to the police last December. So why will the people who build turn around to destroy? For what purpose? The average Igbo man knows that those who are doing the destroying are not Igbos. The special squad of security men sent by federal government are also not Igbos. Okay. So it's a case of the policemen who come shoot into the air, stray bullet to land on people, and then the unknown gunmen will move around in brand new Hilux trucks, shoot into the air with faces covered. Once in a while, people get close and do like this, and then they take close and look at them.
So if you say the Igbos are not destroying, who then is carrying out this attack?
The unknown gunmen. It is not by accident that they call the unknown gunmen. That's why I said, if you go to Alaba today, you know there's an Igbo section. If you see there, from the physiognomy, you say these are Igbos. If you turn towards the right, you see Alaba Rago. That's where the house traders are. You also see the physiognomy. If I go to Jakarta Market here in Lagos, you don't need to be told these are Yorubas. So if the unknown gunmen cover their faces, once in a while, people go, they speak Igbo to them, sing in Igbo, they would even respond.
This is quite a strong...
It is a revelation.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem they have now in Igbo land is that if they see somebody of my age, they will go after me. Police will arrest me, I'm a financier. If they see my son, they will grab him and say he's an activist. Send him to a police station, military barracks, or anywhere. You have to run around to get him out. And you know what it means to Nigeria for someone to run around. I don't mean real race. You have to do something. Otherwise, you see him on TV the next day confessing to things he did not do. Because when they torture you, you have no option. I remember Archbishop Obinna, the Archbishop of the Catholic Diocese, last Sunday came out almost weeping that the morgue where they keep dead bodies, that place is overflowing. 35 unidentified bodies. The Nigerian Bar Association came out and said, we have set up a unit to liaise with police commission. That's how they have been able to rescue some people, including the man who came from Bayelsa, who was going to buy a casket for his father-in-law's burial. The one was grabbed and displayed on TV as the high-ranking chief.
Permit me to just interject, because you're making strong assertions, and we wonder why this hasn't come to light in a more public forum. But let me just ask, what we do know, though, is that there was a, I'm glad you said you're from Imo State, there was a sit-at-home order, and it would seem that largely it was obeyed. So that would then beg the question, who is in charge? You know, we want to bring up the issue of IPOP because they've made certain assertions. And then we want to ask the question as well regarding Imo State. It's hard to put this. There have been assertions by people in Imo State that since the current governor came into being, that Imo State hasn't known peace. So suggesting that his coming in as governor has also triggered some of this violent attacks. What's your take on that?
Let me take it one by one. Issue of sit at home. Observe a day our department, those who died during the war, has been on since 1990s, and the government of to make it a focal point.
Not how it was enforced. There was intimidation behind it.
No, there was no intimidation. Listen. What you saw was what we call a charade. Some people will wear black and red and be moving around in most securities. That's the point I was making. The unknown gunmen are not Igbos. As for day of mourning, it's observed every year. You have seen the one of September 9th. Some people will also observe their own. They don't make noise about it. They just call their own young people. We call our own mourning our dead. 2, IPOB is what I call a phenomenon that has risen because of injustice, because of lack of fair playing ground, because of arrant discrimination. Now, nature abhors vacuum. So whenever there is this kind of lack of inclusiveness, grumbling will come in. All it takes somebody to and say, this man is doing something bad. Let's see what I can do. Believe me, the every person will join. On the issue of the governor, I better leave it at that. Is the governor in charge of any security force there? No. If he says something negative, they'll go against him. You know where he lives in? It's called the fortress. On one side is army.
He's making a lot of concerted efforts.
Police chiefs. All of them live in a circle. And the police headquarters and the prisons that were just burned down, it's just opposite them.
Okay.
CCTV showed all those who do the attacking. Do you know that till today, none of these groups I mentioned ever produced a CCTV?
And a lot of people watch will be wondering why is nobody being brought to book? Where are the perpetrators? But in the absence of state police, we've seen vigilantes across the country, states having to form their own vigilantes, and as well as regional security. Same as the Southeast with Igbo. They don't seem to be making much headway. What have the governors got wrong when it comes to security of their states and, of course, the region, Southeast in particular now?
Well, I don't want domination from Abuja. I also don't want to call it timidity of the governors. No. Let me say it's a case of three political parties having governors in the Southeast. Let's go for PDP has two. That's Enugu and Abia. Enugu has always had a Bubago. They have a name for their own and they have bosses for them. Abia State, yes, its own is not as elaborate as that of Enugu. Imo State also passed a law a long time ago outlawing open grazing, and they also passed a law establishing the Bubago. But then the governor said he has sent some people to train the military barracks in Anambra State, so that when they come the nucleus. Now, the man in Anambra also has his own. His own method is different. Because there are three parties, they have different methods. Abga said, okay, if you kill a cow, you pay. If you kill a human being, you pay. And they're enforcing it. So when they're talking of a Bago to them, they may say we have something different. The man in Igbo, he has just joined APC. And he's also the chairman, so he's being thrown on one side. Unfortunately, his state is the worst hit by the killer herdsmen. Up till this Sunday, we're still killing. Now, the governors are also, well, I think they're handicapped. But remember this, there are killings all over the country, in all the zones. And in terms of number, in terms of statistics, Kaduna State has had more people killed or kidnapped than the whole of Southeast and South put together. Yeah, the IG of police, when he came, he said, I'm concentrating on Southeast and South. In other words, they know what they're doing. So those special squads sent to Imo State because of this crisis, are they putting anything together? Their job is to go and block the road. I saw them, I was saying Saturday before last. For me to pass, all the roads were blocked. In the city, for me to go to the airport, I had to call one man. When I noticed his less unfriendly appearance, I said, I just joked. He said he was an Asian man. I said, Asian, why you? He laughed. He said, Asian. I said, okay, Opa, talk me. He said, he relaxed. I said, okay, pass. That's how I was able to go to the airport. The next day, based on the Kola was killed. The insecurity is there. It's artificial.
You seem to be blaming, you seem to be blaming everyone else, particularly the federal government, except for those in the regions.
Because we are not destroyers. The average Igbo man is a builder. That Owerri airport was built, started by this Mbako, with people contributing £1. Everything you have in Imo State was built by the people, not by the government.
Okay, let me just bring this in.
the state himself obeys the sit at home on Monday. And then the civil servants that work in government house obey the sit at home. And government shut down on Monday. It means the real governor of Southeast is Simon Egba, ruling the Southeast from Finland. Until we are free, he said.
Biafrans, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location and your time. I welcome you once again to this morning's edition, this afternoon's edition of the questionnaire. Please share.
Has prevailed in Nigeria for years. And we want to say a very big thank you to the US lawmakers, most in particular Senator Ted Cruz. All the meetings and engagements of BRJ with Senator Ted Cruz has come to a good result. It is yielding good fruit. The picture you see on the screen is not a Photoshop, it's real. And when you go to the BRJ website, you will see this press release that BRJ Lord Senator Ted Cruz legislation is 2747 against Nigerian government and their officials at 2025. We will peruse through this publication before go to the order of the day. So when you go to BRGI website, then you go to the news. We read our news from there, and everybody will see. This is BRGI website. For you to get BRGI website, you may just see it anywhere. You can see it on my profile. Let me take you to my screen on Twitter. You can see it here on my... So, BRGI does well by making sure every evidences are provided to the U.S. government, so that all the ministers and senators and governors in Biafra land that have worked so hard to make sure that Biafrans are massacred because of Biafra independence, they will all pay an answer to it. The Accountability Act of U.S. lawmakers is somewhat like the lawsuit that the BRGIE has put up against the saboteurs of Biafra independence in this very dispensation of ours. And we are not looking back. It is called law, and it must be implemented. So, it is not business as usual. It is a new dawn. And in this very new dawn, we have different patterns and different modalities that things are done. So, you are lucky to be amongst this very generation, because what we have not done in several years, we have done it now in this very year. We have done it in 2022, we have done it in 2023, we have done it in 2024, we have done it in 2025, as we are about to enter 2026. Since 1960 to 2024, there has never been a time that the Biafran people have been so well organized that they have a government and they have a voice to penetrate the U.S. Congress House. Not just to have a voice to penetrate the U.S. Congress House, but for Biafran people now have a diplomatic seat. They had the opportunity to enter inside the White House, to go and sit down there and have discussion and create awareness about Biafra. That is something that some of you don't understand. That is what is giving birth to this very thing that you see here now. This very post, this very photo that was taken here, which some of you take it to be a joke. Today, this very photo that you all made caricature of, this very congressional briefing that you all made caricature of, today this congressional briefing is speaking volume. The results are numerous. The results have gone haywire, and everybody are running chiki chaka, because you do not understand what it means to be on top of diplomacy. Today, you are beginning to understand. So, the governors, the ministers, tell Eyenaya Baribe that it is time to hold him accountable. His name is on the list that the U.S. senators, the U.S. lawmakers are going to sanction. Tell him. Tell Peter Obi that his name is on the list. Tell Ibazu that his name is on the list. Tell Pitamba that his name is on the list. Tell Soludo that his name is on the list. Tell Senator Osita Isunasu, the one that stood in the National Assembly and said, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Senate President, the Senate is worried, Nigeria is worried, that if the activities of Biafra, the activities of Simon Ekpa is not cut short, that they are afraid that the entire Nigerian people will be caught in the web, to come to the understanding of the reality. Tell all of them that their names are already on the accountability list of U.S. lawmakers. We are very happy of this accountability list of the U.S. lawmakers. We thank our APM.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Joe.
Yes. The testimony that was submitted to the U.S. Congress, some of you took it for a joke. You do not know the importance of it. But today, everything is yielding fruit. Gradually, 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 gradually. Tell all the governors that partook in the massacre of Biafrans Tell Wikeo his name is there. Tell Igbazo his name is there. Tell Willie is in Texas. Very soon, Willie will be deported from Texas down to Abuja. Let him come and stay in Abuja to go and face the terrorists that he supported and created. So none of you will escape the wrath of this Accountability Act. Yes, because every other administration that has existed, they have just turned their blind eyes on the massacre and the genocide of the Christian people and Biafran people. The time has come where Biafran people have taken this to the U.S. lawmakers table and calls on them and say, you must act and you must do something. Many of you sit down and you don't know how these publications came about. You don't know. You thought that the U.S. senators, that they just sat down, they woke up, and then they decided to start doing something about one Nigeria. No! They did not just sit down and then stand up and start doing something about one Nigeria. No! No! Biafran people did. The diplomatic engagement gave birth to what you are saying that is happening to the Nigerian people now. The day you all entered this U.S. congressional building to sit down and talk and create awareness, it was the unlocking key. It was the key to open the door. While every other thing were done and were aligned, you had to go to the U.S. Congress to open the door, the key, to go and put the key. Put the key. You had to go there. You had to go there to put the key and then open the door. Yes, you did the open door on the 18th of September 2025. And after the open door ceremony and the hearing that you did in the U.S. Congress, you have seen that every good thing that pertains to humanity is beginning to come out. The media in U.S. is taking the news. The lawmakers are taking the news. Even those that were not interested in the news, because of the fact that you broke the camel's back to enter U.S. congressional building. You sat down there and you spoke about Biafra for over an hour. That was the opening key. You opened the door. Yes. That is why all the U.S. lawmakers today have the boldness, and all the media houses in America now have the boldness to publish the massacre of Christians. Yes. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is and was. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is and was a victim of what everybody are crying out today. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a victim of jihad. Yes, he's a victim because he opened his mouth to educate everybody about the massacre of Christians in Nigeria. Dr. Mai Lafia that did same, he was eliminated. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came to do same. They decided to kidnap him, catch him, and lock him up. Charlie Kirk in America that also came out to open his mouth and talk about it. They shot him on the neck. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a victim of jihad because he stood up to speak against the template that has been launched against all of you, which you all don't even know. movements. Depending on the armed forces to stop the killings, you will all die one by one. Every one of us must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude with the armed bandits. They kill people, kill Nigerians. They facilitate their movements. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to stop the killings, you will all die one by one. Nobody is ready to die, and nobody wants to die. But Nnamdi Kanu was ready to die, and he put his life for all of you. So, let's come back so that we finish reading this and go to what we actually came here for. So, APM Nkere has announced, APM Nkere has engaged with Senator Ted Cruz and his office over the past year. And he is glad to have been involved in educating the senator and his office of Nigeria's persecution of Biafran Christians. The senator's legislation reflects BRGI's call for more aggression. Legislation holding Nigeria accountable. We want it to be very strict. Very strict. That all of them, the same way that Ike Guerrero was held down, we want it to be very strict. That all of them that are accomplices, they will go nowhere. Yes. Wike, you killed Inobibo. Good luck, Jonathan. Many people died under your supervision, and you did not do anything about it. Obasanjo, what happened in Odi massacre? Is there any president and governor that they have not used Biafrans to do sacrifice? You know what is happening now? My happiness is that at this very time, Biafran people already laid the foundation and laid the cry and the prayer out, but nobody took us serious. Then we went back to form a defense mechanism to defend Biafra land so that our babies, women and children, they will not be running away from their slave. They will not be running out of their lands to go to Cameroon to go and seek refuge. When you have your land filled with milk and honey, that is why we have Biafra Defense Forces. While all of you were calling our Biafra Defense Forces criminals and kidnappers and terrorists, what is happening today? Today you are running away from your lands in Kwara, Borno, Katsina, Kanu, Kaduna, Plateau. You are running away from your own lands and you are running to go to Cameroon. Between Cameroon and Nigeria, where should somebody be running to if everything were okay? Where do you have everything? Where are you supposed to be more comfortable? But the reverse has been the case. Because since Yoruba media, the corrupt media, decided to work for the terrorists and to do propaganda, blackmail against the Biafran people for years, it is time for reckoning. All of you will hear me. The terrorists have not started yet. You will all enjoy it from the beginning to the end. While Biafran people are laughing now, you will all be gnashing your teeth. Because we have been the bad guys since, right? But we have been doing the dirty job for all of you. Biafran people have been doing the dirty job by taking care and taking out the terrorists for Christians to live in Nigeria for many years now. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped because of speaking up, because of doing the dirty job for all of you Christians in Nigeria so that you can live. But when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped through the connivances and the accomplishment of Igbo politicians aligning with the terrorists in Abuja, you all clap. You all clap for the kidnap. They brought him to Nigeria. They televised the announcement of his kidnapping. And all of you in Nigeria were clapping. Yes, you clap. And they did not even give you the broadcast on English. No, they gave you the broadcast on what? Their own local language in the north. They were only addressing the northern people in Nigeria. They were informing the northern people that they have actually captured the easterner, the Biafran person that is looking for Biafra, the Biafran prisoner that is exposing their terrorist invasion and their act. That is what they did. So they kidnapped him and they came in public announcement. They made public announcement and then they say, we have kidnapped him. Oh, this is that man that is trying to expose our plan of destroying Christians. This is that man that is trying to expose our plan of taking over the entirety of Nigeria and killing all of you. So they address all of you in Fude Fude. They did not address any of you in English that you will understand. And all of you were clapping, yes, 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 yes. Nigerian government is working today. What is happening to you? That never seen we. Boko Haram will deal with many of you that were clapping for the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So, you must recall that BRGIE, the acting Prime Minister Ankere, had submitted first ever U.S. congressional testimony on the Biafran issue in modern history, exposing the massacre of Christians in Biafra and Nigeria entirely. This congressional testimony of Nigeria for kidnapping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya, killing Christians, killing Biafrans, and forceful disappearances because of Biafra independence. While the government of Nigeria is an abet the terrorists, BRGIA also called for sanctions on Finland for transnational repressions on PM Ekpa Simon Njoko. The testimony is officially a part of the congressional record and is publicly available for viewing on the congressional website. Now, in a post on his official X, formerly Twitter, handle, Cruz unveiled that government officials in Nigeria are not only ignoring, but in the same case, facilitating the violence. Officials in Nigeria are ignoring and even facilitating the mass murder of Christians by Islamist jihadist terrorists. And when you click all this link here, these are reference links, it will take you down there. And this is what the full bill that Senator Ted Cruz has proposed to the U.S. government. So if you click here, it will open and takes you to go and read everything. So do well to visit our Biafran government in exile website so that you can read this news. Then, in encapsulating this, a new report also paints a grim picture of the scale of the crisis, stating that Nigeria has effectively become the headquarters and safe haven for 22 terrorist groups. According to the report, an average of 35% are massacred daily across the country. You read more evidences here. This one is a Bubaku terrorist that is being funded by Nigerian government to kill Biafrans. This one is the inter-society massacre in eastern region Nigeria. This one is the one that Bill Mayer calls on why Christians are massacred and nobody's talking about it. This is a report by Newsweek. This is a report by Fox News. This is another report by Fox News where PEOPLE.WE also lamented about the massacre of Christians. This other one, still another news that came out of massacre of Christians. The Genocide Watch also posted massacre of Christians. Fox News again also posted. Christian Daily also posted the massacre in Plateau. Fox News also posted again. Sky News also posted the beheading of Christian pastors, the kind officials in Kaduna. This one is another video where Sky News is enumerating the massacre. So, Senator Cruz is a Republican and has frequently raised concerns about international religious freedom and has called for the US government to take a tougher stance on countries accused of persecution. So, BRGIE leading the front. Listen up, BRGIE leading the front. BRGIE leading the front. Human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have similarly accused Nigerian authorities of failing to act decisively against extremist violence in the Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom. So when you visit the BRGI website, you will read this publication. Just come over to the news section and then you read and you see this. These and many more are what the BRGI are putting up. And if you saw this news coming out and making rounds in the media, you don't know the people that are behind it. We are making it clear for you to understand today now that it is your work as a Biafran who is supporting BRGIE every day, who is supporting the APM, who is supporting the lobbies, who is supporting the attorney Amanda Berry. Your contributions, it is your effort that has made this to come to be. So give glory to yourself and sing praises to yourself, because this is what you work for and this is what you have made to happen. Without you, this will not happen. So don't allow anybody to come and take your glory because you work for it.
Every night and day he's shouting and pointing to one direction. But his own people are blind and saying it's causing division. Tell me why someone will sacrifice his life for you and I? Tell me why out of sight has become out of mind. He's asking for nothing and cares about not for his people emancipation. But there is a breaking news to those who never knew. Permit me to give you a clue in the morning sunrise. There is a breaking news to those who never knew. Permit me to give you a clue in the morning sunrise.
Thank you so much, Biafrans. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending your time and your location. I welcome each and every one of you once again to today's edition of the questionnaire, anchored by myself, Mazi David Nana. You have just listened to the Information Minister of the Biafran Republic Government in exile, Mazi Sonny Akbarawa, educating Biafrans on the positive outcomes of the meetings, your write-ups, and everything that the Biafran Republic Government in exile is doing for the awareness creation, for the restoration of our freedom, for the freedom of our leaders, and the liberation of Biafra land. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. On June 2021, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped from Kenya, and since that time, this moment, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still held in the custody of the Department of State, DSS, in Abuja. What is the crime of our leader? The only crime to them Mazi Nnamdi Kanu committed is standing against injustice, is standing against oppression, standing against slavery, standing against religious persecution. The North saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as an issue and as a problem to their Islamic conquest. The southeastern politicians saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a stumbling block to their political aggrandizement. They saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as someone who is standing against their political ambitions. They saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as someone who is going to fight against their Islamic agenda and against their slavery of indigenous people. And they decided to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out of the way in order to Islamize the people. They saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a problem to the conquest of indigenous people. That was why they now planned with the southeastern governors, the southeastern politicians, and kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a victim of Islamic Jihad. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a victim of jihad. The Nigerian government, the politicians from the southeast, they do not mean well for the population, they do not mean well for their people. So they see anybody as an opposition. Anybody that speaks against their activities is now their opposition, and they do everything humanly possible to shut that person down and to silence such persons. They saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as an obstacle to the Islamic conquest of Nigeria, while taking into account what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stands for in the Biafran region. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the only one that stood against injustice in the whole of Biafra land when every one of them was afraid to speak. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was the only one who spoke when everybody was afraid to act. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was the only one who brought resources together to act. When the insecurity, when the people of Biafra were being killed, when Igbos were kidnapped and killed in their farms, the governors were handicapped, the politicians could not even speak about it. They could not even act about that. It was only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that took it upon himself, called on the Southeast politicians, called on the governors to act and stop the killing of Biafrans, of Igbos from the Southeast. It was only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that also formed the security outfit, the only non-state actor in the history who formed a security outfit to protect his people. They saw that as an affront, and they decided to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out of the way. And when they could not kill him, they kidnapped him, and they are playing politics with the lives of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, holding him in detention even when the court has freed him. So our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is a victim of jihad, Islamic jihad. The Fulani herdsmen, the ISIS, the ISWAP, the Ansawaru, the Boko Haram, these are the forces that the Nigerians are using to carry out jihad in that part of the world. The jihad is the Islamic way of fighting for their own freedom. And they are not fighting for their freedom in order to be free as a people, no. They are fighting in order to conquer other ethnic nationalities and make them subservient to them. The jihad is a means of conquering other ethnic nationalities. So the Nigerian government in 2015, during the elections, went to African nation, went to Sahel region, and imported terrorists to come and help them to win elections. And eventually, when that election, they won it, the terrorists could not go back. The Nigerian government now promised them that they are going to relocate them to Nigeria. They are going to give them lands. They are going to give them everything that they need, as long as they can help them to conquer the indigenous population and help them to make sure that Nigeria becomes an Islamic state. In other words, all the 7 terrorist groups that you have in Nigeria were funded by the North. And these groups, these terrorist groups, are being used by the North to conquer other ethnic nationalities. So what you see playing out in Nigeria today, where southern Kaduna people are being killed, in Katsina, the herdsmen, the Boko Haram, the ISIS, the ISWAP are roaring riot, killing indiscriminately, burning villages and communities, overrunning army barracks. This is what the Nigerian government is using them to do. In Benue State, the indigenous people have been displaced. If you stand against their Islamization agenda, no matter how highly placed you are, the Nigerian government will bring you down. In Benue State, the communities in Benue State have been overrun by the Fulanis, the jihadists that the Nigerian government imported from Sahel region, are in communities that they displaced the indigenous people. While the indigenous people are living in IDP camps, those who were lucky to make it out alive, while they are living in IDP camps, the terrorists that displaced them are occupying their homes. And the Nigerian government are not doing anything to relocate them back to their ancestral land. You go to southern Kaduna, the same thing is happening. You go to Borno, the same thing is happening. You go to Sokoto, you go to Katsina. Every part and parcel of that evil contraption called Nigeria, where you have the Christians, where you have the indigenous people who are predominantly Christians, they have been ransacked and taken over by the Islamic jihadists who are working for the terrorist Nigerian state. And this is the result. This is as a result of the fact that these indigenous people are not rising up to fight for themselves. They are not rising up to defend themselves. They are not rising up to defend their women and children. The men and the leaders that are supposed to rise up from all these communities have been subdued by the terrorist Nigerian state. If you are any governor or a politician, you are an indigenous politician and you don't buy the idea of Islamization, the Nigerian government will come for you. If you are an Eze or Igbe, if you are an Eme, and you don't support the Islamization agenda of the Nigerian government, they are going to dethrone you. They are even going to kill you. So in Nigeria, you don't even have freedom of speech. You don't have freedom of association. Nigeria is ruled by Islamists who are really to do anything to make sure that they complete the agenda, which is total Islamization. And everyone that have risen up to speak against Nigeria, one way or the other, have met his or her Waterloo. Lafia spoke against the Islamization agenda. Lafia eventually was poisoned. The same thing applies to Akere Dolu, one of the governors from the Southwest who supported Amoteku and who supported the eviction of all these Fulani terrorists from the southwestern bushes. What happened? He was also poisoned and died mysteriously. So you see that Nigerians are under a very big problem. They are all under a cage where you have to accept any fate that the Nigerian government gives to you. And that is why what is happening in Nigeria today is happening. Nobody is being held into account. Nobody is held accountable for the atrocities of the Nigerian state. It is only in Biafran territory where we have gallant men and women who said enough of all this Nigeria intimidation and harassment of their people. It is because of that our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is suffering in detention today. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu rose up and told the Biafran people and Nigerians the plans the terrorist Nigerian state have, the plans the Islamic world have, the plans the Fulanis have to take over Nigeria and turn it to Islamic State. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told you that if you don't rise up to fight against these plans of the terrorist Nigerian state, that they are going to implement it to the latter. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu also made each and every one of us to understand that the southeastern politicians are already in agreement with the northerners, with the Fulanis, about this Islamization agenda. The southeast politicians were being enticed by political positions, by governorship positions, vice presidency positions, speaker of the House of Representatives positions, Senate this, Senate that, local government, all the positions that you can think about. The Fulanis, who are the rulers and the leaders of Nigeria in the political circle, are now the kingmakers. And before you can attain any political position in Nigeria, you have to pay homage to them. And in paying that homage, they have to give you documents to sign. They have to tell you what they need from you in your communities. They have to tell you your do's and don'ts. They have to tell you that whenever anything happens against your people, you are not expected to react. That is why what is happening in Biafra land, the politicians cannot talk about it. That is why when the military comes to Biafran territory and kills, knowing you fully well that the military were as part of the Nigerian government, it is the Nigerian government that is sponsoring them and sending them to your communities. And the military comes from the federal government of Nigeria. Even the governor don't have any say. The willpower to challenge any action taken by the military in their various communities or states. That is why you see the atrocity that is happening in Biafran territory, and the governors and the politicians are mute, because if they speak, presidency will come for them. If they speak, the Fulani who gave them their political positions will come for them. That is why they prefer every Biafran to be dead rather than challenging those who are killing us. It is quite unfortunate. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, our leader, is a victim of the Nigerian government jihad, a well-planned jihad at that. That the politicians, all of them have been caged. All of them have been threatened not to speak about the atrocity the Nigerian government are committing in our various communities. So while all these things are happening, each and every one of them is not going to say anything. They keep quiet while our communities are under bombardment. They keep quiet while the youths are being harassed. are being arrested and their organs harvested. They keep quiet when the women are being molested and raped. They keep quiet when our parents are being killed in the farms. They keep quiet when the herdsmen and their herders destroy our farm produce. Nobody speaks for us. Nobody stands for us. And nobody fights for the Biafran people. Only Mazi and Kanu that came out and said enough is enough. Mazi and Kanu told the southeastern politicians to their faces that they are stooges. Mazi and Kanu won the caliphate, that no matter what they are planning, it can never be possible in Biafran territory. Mazi and Kanu set up the Eastern Security Network in order to dislodge the plans of the terrorists, using their foot soldiers through our bushes to invade our communities. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the only force that the terrorists are afraid of. And now, what they did was to connive with the leaders from the southeast and make sure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was taken out. They kidnapped him and they locked him up in DSS. When our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa saw all these abnormalities and atrocities, he came out in support of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and also stood his ground to make sure that all these intimidations and harassment that Biafran people have checkmated them, that we have to checkmate the excesses of all these governors and the Nigerian government in our territories. And our Prime Minister now collapsed the Biafran ESN into Biafran Defense Forces. And today, the Biafran Army are doing the needful in our various territories. And when the Nigerian government also saw that Mazi Simon Ekpa is preventing them and creating much awareness for people to understand and know the atrocities that is being committed in Biafran territory, the Nigerian government now came out again, conniving with the southeastern politicians, together with Finland, to also make sure they silence our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, from speaking and creating much awareness and doing much damage to the psyche of the terrorist Nigerian state. So this is how they roll. That is what they have been doing to us for a very long time. Because they were doing all this unchallenged, they continue to commit atrocity in our land. Politicians are not speaking. They are afraid for their lives. So if not for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, today, most of us that are speaking may not be speaking. If not for our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa and our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I bet you me by today, if there is nobody like them, Benue State would have been a child's play compared to what they would have done in Biafra land. Because the Nigerian government hates us with passion, and they will do everything within their reach to make sure that they destroy us as a people. Everybody understood what happened between 1967 to 19, when Nigeria committed the most heinous crimes in the history of mankind. The genocide was committed against the Biafran people, and up to today, nobody has been have talked about it. The Nigerian government are trying every tool humanly possible to block that genocide from coming to international scene. But we will continue to speak until the world has to talk about that genocide that was committed against us between 1967 to 1970. So, if not for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Mazi Simon Ekpa, Biafra land would be under occupation by now. If not our eternal leader, Dumegwu Ojoko and Philip Effiong, would have been answering Abdullahi, Sule, and Abubakar, because that is the plan of the terrorist Nigerian government against us. They want to convert us to Islam by thunder, by fire, and they will go at any length to implement every policy that they have planned against the Biafran people. It is only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that was a stumbling block against their Islamization agenda. It was Mazi Simon Ekpa also that supported Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to say no to the Islamization agenda and the total conquest of Nigeria. It is only Biafran people that are protecting and preventing Nigeria from Islamizing the whole Nigerians. So they see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a problem. They see Mazi Simon Ekpa as a problem. But unfortunately, most of you Biafrans, most of the politicians do not see these atrocities that the Nigerian government have committed and continue to commit against our people. The governors of the Southeast are now working with the jihadists, are now working with the North against the Biafran people. The senators, the House of Rep members, the local government chairmen, the PGs, the Ezes, the political Ezes, the Igwes, the political Igwes, all of them are paying allegiance to the North. Why their youths are dying, their concern is only about their political position. And that is why, if you are a Biafran in this 21st century and you are sitting on the fence, seeing everything, seeing all these atrocities that is happening in our land, then you know that certainly something is actually wrong with you. Before Mazi Simon Ekpa went in for questioning, he set up the Biafran Republic government in exile. This Biafran Republic government in exile is known in Washington, D.C., all over the world, as the only government or body that is responsible for the freedom or speaking and fighting for the freedom of the Biafran people. If you are a Biafran and you don't know this, then something is actually wrong with you. You have been in Nigeria for God knows when, since when. You have seen that Nigeria is not working. You have seen that you don't have good roads. You have seen that there is nothing that you can be proud of Nigeria for. Not even freedom of speech or association. Not even the freedom of worship or religion. In Nigeria, it is not acceptable because Nigeria is an Islamic state. So if you have seen all these things, and you know that elections have not solved any problem that Nigeria have faced since 1960, up to date, there is no problem that elections have solved. And you are still looking up to election, you are still waiting to to elect somebody who is going to, better Nigerian cause, then you are the fool of this 21st century. Nigeria can never be better. Even if you send Jesus Christ to come down from God's nowhere and come and be the president of Nigeria, Nigeria can never be better. The earlier people understand that, the better that you join the fight for your own freedom. If you are not free as a people, I want you to check what is happening in Afghanistan. All these Islamic nations. I want you to see the treatment that the people undergo on a daily basis. You are not free to worship your God. You are not free to say your opinion. You are not even free to dress anyhow you like. Is that the kind of life you want to live in Nigeria? Because this is the life they want to force on you. That is the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for you. That is the reason why Mazi Simon Ekpanjoku is also fighting for you. So if you know that you don't want to live under this harsh condition where your life is programmed, where your life is controlled by Islamists, then you have to support the cause for Biafran restoration. Very, very important. There is no politician in the Southeast that have your interests at heart. I want you to consider the trend nowadays. Where have you seen an Hausa man wearing an Igbo attire? Where? Where have you seen an average Fulani man, an average Yoruba man dressing like an Igbo man in an occasion, walking on the streets? They are very rare. But in Biafran land, you see the Biafran people, you see the Igbo Biafrans now dressing up like Fulanis. Their new fashion now is always agbada. Anywhere they go, they are sewing agbada. What does that tell you? They want to belong to the Islamic world. They are now telling you that they are part and parcel of the Islamic world because that is their fashion. That is their mode of dressing. So in other words, the Igbo politicians are now aligning with the Muslims. They are now aligning with the Fulanis in adorning all their dress code and dressing modes, to make them feel that yes, we belong to your religion, to make them feel more superior to that of their own dressing. I want you to check around in the political circles in Nigeria today, more importantly from the Igbo-speaking Biafrans. You will see them wearing the agbada or the danchiki or whatever they are called in occasions, pretending to be what they are not because of political position, because of power and influence. And that is why when the Fulanis kill our people, you won't get any reaction from them. I just want you to look at this picture or this video I'm going to play. This video is, these are Biafrans, so I want you to check this man who say he's Akpabio. It's not only Akpabio. I just want to use him for this particular broadcast.
Making a lot of concerted efforts to see to it that at the end of the day, people in the IDP camps can return to their homes.
This is
It's quite a
Akpabio.
pity that this has gone on for decades, unchecked, but with the determination
See
and the
this
support
man.
of the National Assembly.
This is Akpabio, the Senate President of Nigeria. This man here that is wearing this white
all
cap,
stakeholders, I believe that
this
peace
red cap man here is also an Igbo man. These people are Efulefus. These two people that you see here are for the southeastern region of Biafra. But look at what they are wearing.
the entirety of Nigeria.
Nobody is against what these people are wearing, but I want you to know that if you look at all their public functions, these people that are useless Biafran politicians from the southeast, they are now showing how aligned they are to the Fulanis. Even merely looking at them, merely looking at themselves, they look very much like the Fulanis that they are wearing the agbada. But these are Igbos. What happens to our traditional attire? Even if you must be like the Fulanis, does it mean it's only when you wear the agbada that will demonstrate your allegiance to them? No. What it means is that everyone now is Fulani. Everyone is Islam. Everyone is Muslim. Because how can you, as an Igbo man, as a Biafran, even if you don't believe in Biafran, you are in the government of Nigeria. The president will dress like this. The vice president will dress like this. You yourself will dress like this. This is the dressing for Muslims. This is a dressing for the Fulanis or the Hausas. You are not Hausa. What happened to your own traditional dressing? The president is a Fulani. Is a Muslim. The vice president is a Fulani man. He's a Muslim. And this is how he would dress. You can never see Shetima dressed casual or wearing senator. You must wear the Hausa attire or the Fulani attire. Then these people that say they are politicians from the southeast, that they have the interests of their people at heart, will also adorn the same attire with these same people who are killing us because of our belief, who are killing us because of what we stand for. And that is why people that you see here, we question if actually these people are really Igbos in the real sense of it. Because the Igbo man that I know are the Igbo men that are courageous and fearless and stand their ground. The Igbo men that I know are the likes of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the likes of Mazi Simon Ekpan Joko, the likes of Philip Effiong, the likes of Odumegwu Ojukwu, the likes of Chuba Okadipo, the likes of Dora Akunyili. These are the Igbo people that I can be proud of because they never sold their prestige for political positions. They never sold their people because of political aggrandizement, because of what they are going to get. These Igbo people that I know have prestige for their own people. Not this generation of Opabios not the generation of Ukpabia Sika, the Ukpabios of this world, the engineer believers of this world. We can never be proud of their title of Igbo heritage or heritage. So I want you, Biafrans, to understand that all these people that you see here, in as much as they may be answering Igbo names, they may not be Igbo, or there may be some mixed blood somewhere, because these people have aligned to the Fulanis more than they have aligned to the people that they say they are representing. And it's very, very sad and very, very unfortunate. So this Fabio and many more like him who come from Biafran territory are now aligning with the Fulanese against their people. You cannot see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wear this agbada. You cannot see our prime minister. You can. It's not that it is bad, but when you use it so often, then what happens to your own traditional wears? If you say that Nigeria is a secular state, if you say that Nigeria state, the president will come out with Islamic wear. The vice president will come out with the West, Yoruba wear. Then you, as an Igbo man, you should come out with your own Igbo traditional wear. But in this scenario, every one of them are coming out with that of the North. And that is very, very sad and not good at all. And that is the reason why we should understand that these people do not have our interest. Rather, their interest lies with their masters, who are the Fulanese.
Well, thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jim Moran. I served in the United States Congress for approximately a quarter of a century. After I left the Congress, I began to represent some corporations and countries and causes that I believe in. It has been an honor to work with you, Your Excellency. Elias Garasulis is my partner. This is primarily Elias's account. I'm going to be working with him. While I was in the Congress, I was on the committee that funds Defense and State Department foreign operations, as well as the foreign I have an interest in Africa. I was a principal co-sponsor of the African Growth and Opportunity Act. But most importantly, I do believe that Biafran independence is a just and noble cause. And I trust that you have a bright future ahead. We will try to secure your independence. We can't promise because the politics is not a particularly predictable situation in the United States today, and justice is not always served, but we will work towards that objective. I appreciate the opportunity to work on behalf of the Biafran people, and at this point, let me turn it over to Elias. Elias?
Oh, thank you, Jim, and it's an honor to be working with you on this, and we appreciate your lending your support, someone of your prestige and stature. That association would be so critical. So thank you, Jim. I appreciate it, and thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, and dear Biafrans in the United States and around the world. My name is Elias Yarsulis, and I am a good friend and colleague of Congressman Moran, and we are your new lobbyists here in Washington, D.C. However, you should know that we are more than just your lobbyists. We are fellow freedom fighters in the struggle for the liberation of Biafra. And similar to how your compatriots in the Biafran Defense Forces are securing your freedom on the homeland, we will be fighting for your freedom in the political and diplomatic battlefield. And we will make sure that all these U.S. officials, all these congressmen and senators understand that the Biafran independence movement is a pure democratic civilian uprising against injustice, the very same one that we had in the United States when we declared our independence from the British 200 years ago. On a personal level, I knew I had to get involved in this struggle, not only because of my belief in the Biafran cause, but my belief in His Excellency, the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. As I got to know the Prime Minister, I could see that he has remarkable leadership qualities and vision. And I knew that instinctively that he was a man of destiny and that he will have a very important impact in Africa in the years to come. And I thought it was a personal duty to assist him. Already, the Prime Minister has made remarkable progress and has outsmarted the Nigerian system in many ways. The Prime Minister has done this with the self-referendum. He has done this with opening diplomatic liaison offices around the world. And I think by establishing a proper Biafran lobby in Washington, D.C., the Prime Minister has delivered his master stroke. And if you can look at the Nigerian media and the social media, you will see that this is something that's been highly publicized. And I think this is because they understand the moment that the United States starts to gain more support for the Biafran cause, it will be a game changer. Because when the United States leads, other countries follow. Congressman Moran and myself are your voice to the U.S. Congress, your voice to the White House, your voice to the State Department, your voice to the highest offices in this great land. And we will not stop until victory is achieved. Long live a free, independent, and sovereign Biafra. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for a brilliant speech there. Elias, we are happy to have you. Have a lot of things to do together. Thank you. This appearance today is just to present you to the Biafrans in the United States. As I made my promise, I have fulfilled it. It is now that we go out there and do what we know how to do best for the interest of Biafra.
Thank you, Mr. Prime, and we look forward to serving you in the cause. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
We remember our Prime Minister. God bless United States of America. God bless United States of Biafra. Together, we will all make Biafra great again. Together, we will all win again. Together, we will all succeed again. Together, we will liberate Biafra. Thank you.
In Paris, it's based in places like Abuja and Lagos. The fact of the matter is, and for that matter, Yaoundé as well, the fact of the matter is that we are witnessing a second wave of decolonization in Africa right now. Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland are at the front line of a struggle for freedom, religious freedom, as well as simply personal, economic freedom, political freedom. The fact of the matter is, though, when we talk about that front line of colonialism, Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland, we're also talking about a response to genocide. The fact of the matter is, when we look at the modern history of Biafra and we see some of the key figures represented on this podium, and it's so appropriate that we're sitting here in a room dedicated to Veterans Affairs, to honor the veterans of the Biafra struggle. The fact of the matter is that they did not start the struggle for Biafran rights. Nigeria did. Nigeria has agency. They have decision-making. No one forced Nigeria to undertake the pogroms of 1966. That was a decision that was made in Lagos. And what we have seen, the struggle for freedom in Biafra, is a natural response to the repression, which is now more than 60 years old inside Nigeria, and especially with regard to Biafra. Now, we can talk about genocide, and unfortunately, what has occurred in Biafra in the late 1960s and so forth, isn't the only case of genocide that the 20th century has seen. But what makes the history and the recognition of the Biafran genocide so important is this. When the Jews
Dear friends, if you want to make your comments, contributions, join us on the studio, or you call the line on the screen and make your contribution. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, our leader, must be released. Our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoku, also must be released. These people committed no crime, and they are victims of Islamic Jihad. The reason why the Nigerian government kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was standing against their jihad. The reason why Nigeria liaised with Finland is also because Simon Ekpa, our Prime Minister, was also fighting against their jihad. So if you stand against Nigeria, Nigeria will crush you. But unfortunately, they cannot crush our leader, they cannot crush our Prime Minister, and they can never crush Biafra. It's not going to happen. They will never crush Biafra. Biafra have come to stay. Biafra is the last hope of every man. Biafra is the only hope that you have anywhere that you are all around the world. So it is time you come out and support Biafra so that you will be free. Otherwise, Nigeria is drifting towards Islamization, full Islamization. Biafra that is standing against that Islamization project. So thank you so much, Biafrans, for joining me. I want to appreciate every one of you who was part of this broadcast. Please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, try and do so. Very, very important, so that anytime we come live, you get notification. Our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, like I said, is a victim of jihad. And the southeastern politicians must be held accountable and responsible for the atrocity. The politicians must be held responsible for the atrocities against our people. They are the reason why all this intimidation is happening. They are the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention. They are the reason why Biafra has not been fully restored. They are the reason why Owerri State or Kiwe State are under bombardment. And we are going to hold them accountable and responsible for all these atrocities against our people. I salute our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Appreciate Minister Mazi Simon Ekwanjoko. We salute our APM, Honorable Ogechukwu Nkere. I appreciate the Minister of Information. I also appreciate all the media personnel of BRGIE for doing the needful. I thank you, Biafrans, that are supporting our government and our BDF to make sure that Biafra becomes an independent state. I appreciate everyone. And if you are still sitting on the fence, this is high time you come out fully and support your freedom. Airborne to the Biafran Defense Forces. And goodbye from here.